All right, good morning, everyone. Hello. How are we doing today? All right, so today, all right, so first of all, welcome to Garnet Civics Must Pass channel. Now, yesterday I started this channel and I first look at the legislative branch and I focus on the structure with a little bit of the functions, right? Now, today I'm going to be focusing on the functions of the legislative branch. But before I go through, we have to first understand the depth of the benchmark. The benchmark is asking us to explain that the command vocabulary, that the instruction be given to us, right? And it asks us to explain the structure. Yesterday we looked at the structure. I'm going to quickly recap that. But today I'm going to focus on the functions. Now, and then in my next video, I'll be looking at the process, or one aspect of the process, like how a bill becomes a law. Now, so just to recap, yesterday we looked at the structure and we know that Article 1 in the US Constitution outlines the structure, functions, and processes of the government, right, for the legislative branch. Now, we do know that the lower house is also known as the House of Representatives rather is also known as the lower house, and the Senate is also known as the upper house. As we said, we are assuming that the upper house is so called the upper house because it has more power, it has more function to perform than the House of Representatives. For example, one power that the Senate has that the House of Rep does not have is to confirm appointments, is to approve appointments, all right? Now, we do know it's bicameral because it has two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, all right? We do know that the Senate has 100 members and the House of Rep has 435. Collectively, that gives you 535. Now, we do know that the Speaker of the House is the leader of the House of Representatives, while the Vice President of the Vice President is the leader of the Senate. In the absence of the Vice President, then the President pro tempore will act in his or her absence. All right, now, we're going to now look on the functions of the legislative branch. All right, now, the main function of the legislative branch is to make laws. That's the main function. Pause for a minute. Remember, function is how something works. Cool? And we look at the structure. So how are these 435, this 100, or basically, let us say, the 535 people gonna all work together to make this branch function. And bear in mind that the legislative branch is just one arm of the three branches, and collectively all three branches must work together to ensure efficiency in government. Now, it was very intentional to make sure the powers are separated so that one branch is not too powerful over the other. All right? Now, let us look at implied powers and enumerated or express power. Now, when you imply something, you do not state it. When something is implied, your action can tell, or when something is expressed, you are clearly stating it. Let me recap that. Implied power is not listed in the US Constitution. Enumerated power, which is the same thing as express power, is clearly listed in the US Constitution. Now, before we go into these powers, let us look at a function of the Vice President. The Vice President serve as the one that will break a tie in the Senate. Yes, we can have a tie in the Senate because the Senate has 100 members, 2 per state. Now, If they're debating on a bill or an issue and we are 50-50, then it's the vice president that is going to break that tie. Now, just to back up a little, yesterday we looked at, and I'm going to keep saying this because I want you to understand, these are questions that you may get. To be a senator, you must be 30 years old, and this is the constitutional requirement. 30 years old, you must be a citizen from 9 years and above, and you must live in the state that you want to represent. To be a House of Representative member, you gotta be a citizen for 7 years and more, and you must live in the state that you want to represent, and you must be 25 years old. Those are the constitutional requirements. You don't have to have no degree or anything. All right? Now, let's move on to the express power. It is the Congress alone that can make money in the US. Coin money. You're always going to see that question. Congress has the power to operate postal services, post office. So, if you steal a mail from the post office, that's a federal charge. Remember, Congress represents the federal government. Now, Congress has the power to establish military. If you work with the military, any branch of the military, that's a federal job. All right? Now, Congress has the power to declare war. Let me make that clear. It is not the president that declares war. It is Congress that declares war. Let me say that one more time. It is not the president that declares war. It is Congress that declares war. Now, let's move on. Congress has the power to regulate trade. Congress has the power to decide on naturalization requirements. Now, all these are clearly stated in the U.S. Constitution. Those are the express power. Now, let us look at implied power. I know this might be a lot, but take your time. You're going to keep watching this and you'll get it. Implied power, as I said, is not clearly stated in the U.S. Constitution, but the implied power should allow the legislative branch to perform its enumerated power. Therefore, in the U.S. Constitution, we have the necessary and proper clause, which give the legislative branch its implied power. So implied power comes from the necessary and proper clause. When something is necessary, it's needed. It has to be done. Now, another name for the necessary and proper clause is the elastic clause. Elastic means it stretches. And if something can stretch, that means that we can extend. So we are extending ourselves to make sure that the enumerated power is performed or accomplished. For example, Congress have the power to collect taxes. I did not say that. Federal tax. You work, you pay federal tax, federal income tax. No, but did the Constitution say Congress has the power to charge a bank? No. But if you're collecting taxes, you may need the bank to store those money. So as a result of that, we can imply that we need somewhere to store those funds. As a result, that's an implied power. Clear? Now, we're going to stop right there for today, and then we'll take it up with our review and back into the process.